Welcome to Bungalows for Bachelors. MEP Trim Out is next. What is MEP Trim Out? Well, MEP stands for Mechanical, Electrical, Plumbing. And what we're talking about here is we're talking about installing those final fixtures that are going to put that finishing touch on all of the stuff sticking out of our walls. So we're going to have, when you walk in the house at this point before this is done, you're going to have all these outlet boxes, holes in the ceiling or floor for vents. You're going to have sinks with you're going to have vanities or countertops with no sinks in them. You're not going to have any of that stuff. So this is where we're going to install all that, right? So, man, adding this stuff in is going to really add the flavor and the texture and the life. We're almost done. We're almost there. So, electrical trim out. And these are no particular order. Doesn't really matter. But electrical trim out is basically going to come through. You're going to be wiring in to the switches. Hopefully everything's been labeled well and everything can just go, right on. You don't have to do any crazy stuff. But you're going to put those switches on with the switch plate covers, depending on how you did your electrical inspection before. So at least where I am here, there's there's two inspections usually. There's a rough-in inspection where they're going to check all the wiring in the walls and all of the main wiring of the house before you put sheetrock on. And then afterwards, they want to see that you have wired the wall wires properly to all the fixtures. The outlets, the light switches, the fans, you name it, right? They want to see that's connected properly as well. So when you're doing electrical trim out, at least for myself, I would need to make sure that the outlets and light switches have been connected and they're just hanging out, sticking out from the wall, get an inspection, and then once I'm past, I'm good to just put everything in the wall, put all those cover plates on. So, you don't want to just jump ahead and cover everything up because then you're going to have to take it all off, and that's going to be a pain. But that is the electrical trim out, right? You're going to have some smoke or carbon monoxide detectors in there, any security systems that need to be done, any like garage door buttons, stuff like that. Communications like Wi-Fi wiring or any setup of that kind of stuff. This is when you're going to start to put the finishing touches in those systems. Mechanical trim out is usually not as much. There's generally only going to be adding some registers, which are those vented, the grill looking things that let the air in and out. So you're going to be putting those registers on the open holes. If there's like wall controllers or systems where that's where, adjust the temperature of the house, you're going to want that stuff put in. That's going to go on top of you're going to have a little set of wires, of course, just poking out of the wall, and that's where you're going to install that stuff. If you've got ductless systems, this is a good time to put those wall units on and connect them up. And if there's a special hood vent that has not been installed yet and it needs to be installed, then mechanical is usually the one that handles venting. So they would be putting that stuff into. Plumbing seems to likely be the most involved trim out process because it's usually got the biggest fixtures and probably the most of them. Well, aside from like outlets and light switches, right? But you're going to have sinks, right? So you need vanity sinks in bathrooms. You need the kitchen sink. Usually those sinks are going to have disposals. So those need to be connected, plugged in, tested, make sure everything's good. This is where you're going to put all those P-traps in under the sink, right? You're going to just have these pipes sticking out of the wall, and you got to run water to all these things and make sure it's all connected properly. So there's there's quite a bit more involved in the plumbing trim out, I would say, than an electrical trim out or a mechanical trim out for that matter. But you're going to get those shower head and shower valves in. Of course, if you have not, you would want your tiling done first. If you've got inserts, then the inserts would need to be in. If you got tile going on, the tile would have to be on before, of course, you put these valves and heads on. We haven't talked about tile yet because I'm going to talk about that in the flooring, which is next, but that stuff's going to go on. Dishwasher, dishwasher's kind of like one of those things that's going to get plugged in and hooked up, but you're normally going to want that in after the flooring is done. It can kind of go either way, but it looks best if the flooring goes all the way underneath the countertop before you put that dishwasher in. Toilets, of course. Toilets are a finish out fixture. You're going to cover up that hole in the floor and you're going to put that toilet on top. Pot fillers, if you've got pot fillers by your stove where you just got a water fixture coming out of the wall for filling pots up at the stove, got to put that on. Hose bibs. Now, sometimes hose bibs are going to go on a little sooner because they're not, you can pretty much just throw those on and they're just part of the finished system in a rough-in inspection or something like that. But if they're not on, you'd want them on now. And water heaters and softeners, right? So if you've left loops in your garage or wherever your utility closet is, you need to hook these things up, make sure they're installed and that they're good, right? And there's going to be an inspection for all of this stuff too, because now all of your inside the wall systems that have been capped and tested, we know they're good, but now you're going to cut all those caps and you're going to reconnect everything. So you got to have another inspection to make sure everything's been done correctly after that. Pretty short one here. If you want to learn more, then go ahead and watch the YouTube Spec House series by Essential Craftsman, episodes 112, 131, 132, 134, and 135 and 7. That's pretty much it. I mean, we're getting close to the end here, and that's all that needs to be talked about for trimming out. And I'll see you in the next one.